I view the word intimacy so that we don't always attach it to some romantic relationship, or where we or in marriage or something like that. It's just closely connected.
Hmm.
And when you're closely connected, that person can see you,
Hmm.
right? They can see you when you are close to someone, whether it's business or friendship. They can see you. And the reason I think many people avoid this is we all have flaws, but we are so careful that we don't want people to see that.
Hmm.
And the reason is because then you're going to challenge me. And I think that's the reason why it is so um, such a valuable piece in marriage, because that level of intimacy with and we're talking outside of the bedroom. We just mean that covenant, that closeness that you have with someone allows them to see you like no one else.
Hmm.
And that is the person you should have valued the most when it comes to trust, that they can tell you about yourself and you not get offended, you not get mad, you don't try to shift the blame to them. But that is I think the one thing that makes us very distrusting is when we don't get close.
Hmm.
And relationships are so important to me. I value people, I love people. So I don't do surface, right? I don't have
Hmm.
time for it really. you know, but because relationships are so important, you're going to get close. And you may see some things about me that you don't like. Show me. Tell me. I have done enough of the work that has been revealed and exposed that it's okay, you can tell me, because I know it about myself anyway. And if I have built that trust with you, then I know you mean me good when you share it. So I think when people avoid intimacy, being closely connected, because they don't want people to see their stuff, and then they don't want to be challenged with it, because then it requires change.
Mm.
A
Not,
hard thing for
not that
people
word.
who
Change.
are ready. Yeah.
I for the last 3 years, and you guys know I have been a mentor of teen girls, and that has been the most vulnerable position besides being a mother of teen and grown kids that I have ever had in my life. I mean, because I can be a teacher because between 8 and 4, I'm that person that I go home. But
Mhm.
a mentor, I am a mentor 24/7. I'm a mentor at 9:30 at night on the phone when something's wrong, or overnight at a sleepover, and we talking, just whatever happens in between these walls happens between these walls. And for 3 years, 20 or plus girls have come into my life, and some have faded onto their own journey. Some are still in my life, but they have seen me in different situations. Now, granted, I thought I was here to see them,
Mm.
Mm.
their situations. But
Mm.
what happened is we saw each other through our situations. And I've had deaths, and I've had moves, and I've had relationship situations, and I could not hide any of these things.
Yeah.
And I never even thought about, because life moves so fast, I never even thought about how I would hide it from them, because
Mm.
I knew I had to talk about it.
Mhm.
And so I had to be transparent and vulnerable through these whole 3 years. And so what I've heard from them, and this is not a pat on the back for me. What I've heard from them is saying, "What if you told Miss Bridget or Miss Kinney, however they're addressed me, if you tell her something, it's not going anywhere.
Mhm.
It's not going anywhere unless it's going to harm you or other people."
Mhm.
And she knows that she can trust us as well. But those are intimate relationships. Even the ones that have faded off into to another journey of their lives, they know that I'm still a phone call away. And you have to be vulnerable like that. And sometimes as parents, adults, mentors, teachers, we come into other lives, that we're going to be the one that's going to be this hero that's going to rescue. And in turn, we learn that these people, put a imprint in our lives as well. So I've had to be vulnerable with them and show them, this is who I was. And I'm very transparent. If you're on my social media page, I'm very transparent about my life, my downs, my ups, all the flaws, all the things. I don't think I've hid anything. But I haven't given out everything. But in terms of my life on a surface, I have showed everything, and they appreciate that about me. And so they've never been scared to come to me. And so people trust you when you show up as your real self, and when you show up as a vulnerable person, and they know that you're your real self, they will trust you, because they know, well, and it's freeing. I mean, vulnerability is an amazing place. I used to think it was a dark place, right? It was a hidden place, and that's where you go to hide. But it's so freeing, and people want to join you in that place, and they can be free as well. And so that's what I found out over these last 3 years. I have found out so much about myself in these last 3 years. Just being in that space as a mentor, that I thought everybody's gonna find out about themselves. But that's my piece on being vulnerable. This is a very freeing place.
Yep. Yeah, I want to chime in on that in a little bit different way. Because as I look at that and I talk about, vulnerability, and Tressena, I love the way, you talk about the closeness. That's really what it's about, right? Close relationships. And I also look at the vulnerability and say that is probably one of the best ways to learn about, gain perspective on self-trust. What's going on within you is you have to open up that can of vulnerability for yourself and expose it, because that's where the true knowledge and the learning and the growth is going to come from within you, from a self-trust standpoint. Bridget, I know earlier you mentioned talking about there was, a period in your life where you really had to change in a way from the standpoint of, because you felt some of the decisions you had made in the past were not the best decisions. So now you were kind of in this paralyzed state, because I shouldn't be making decisions anymore, because obviously I don't make good ones, right? But the vulnerability and working your way through that, getting back to a place of self-trust so that you could start to be more comfortable and having to make the decisions that we all have to make in life, because that's a part of life. So this is a key part, and vulnerability is a big driver for the self-trust piece.
Mhm.